What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to do coilovers on my white MR2. Quickly though, I do just want to note the fact that I have started the process of deep cleaning this car. Quite a few people were excited, including myself, so hopefully that video is out in the next week or two. Anyways though, on to the topic of today's video, and that's the fact that I'm putting these Fortune Auto coilovers on the white MR2. Needless to say, I think it's going to be interesting to see how these coilovers compare to the BC coilovers, because like in terms of the second gen MR2s, those are like the two most commonly ones I see that people run. Let's open them up real quick, and then I'll kind of talk about some of the cool things that really caught my eye about them. For those who don't know, I'm super big on making sure things are packaged right, because there's so many times where I have gotten damaged parts just because packaging was poor. So that's a huge pet peeve of mine, which you'll hear me say a million times. But the good news is these seem like they were packaged fantastically. Now if I can get it out. No. All right, apparently I'm not that strong. And then there's the other. So this is the, oh wow. That looks like a really good end link. That's super cool. Just to show you guys a quick little comparison. So these are the ones that came with the Fortune Auto. They are nice and beefy. I love the fact that they're adjustable so I can set preload on them. In comparison, these are the ones that came on the BC coilovers. They are considerably thinner. In addition, they are not adjustable. For my performance application, I'm gonna go with these ones all day long. I think they're gonna suit what I do better. But when you run coilovers on a second gen MR2, you have to run 2 sets of rear end links. So these are the rear coilovers, which is great because these are the first ones I want to install anyways. Nice. These look super nice. Okay, so I'm gonna have to adjust the height, which is okay, not a big deal. I'll also have to adjust the preload, so I'll definitely have to look that up. But it looks super good, nice solid material and everything like that. I got these for the locking rings. Oh, that's really cool. They even come with a certificate of assembly, so you see who built it and everything like that. Nice. Well guys, I decided to go with Fortune Auto coilovers for 2 main reasons. The first one is these ones have digressive shocks. In a nutshell, all that means is that the valving profile is going to be variable. And a really good example of that is, let's just say I'm on the racetrack and I hit a curb. So pretty much this shaft here, as that increases in speed, the dampening force is going to start tapering off, which should result in a less forceful or jarring experience. As a little comparison, let's just say I'm in my V6 MR2, I take that same corner hitting the curb. As that shaft speed increases, the dampening force is going to be pretty consistent. So with the BCs, that would result in like a more jarring experience. And also, I do want to point out with BC coilovers, their entry-level models, like I said, they have linear shocks, but their higher end ones actually do have digressive shocks as well. Before we start, I'm going to set the preload. I am looking at the instructions right now, and it says the rear preload should be set to snug to the spring perch and should not exceed 1/8 of an inch. So after I just snug this up, pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to double check the measurement, and I just have to make sure that this spring at that point is at least 6 inches and 7/8 long. Now that we got preload set, pretty much we're just gonna raise the car up and we'll start installing the coilovers. But before that, I thought some of you just might be interested in the odd wear pattern. The crazy thing is, if you look in the middle here, the tread is most worn here in the middle, which is super odd. You really only see that when a tire is overinflated, although this one's never been overinflated, at least under my ownership. Although I did get these tires when they're like pretty much brand new. I think the reason why it's so odd is that, so this is a 245 on a 7-inch wide tire. Definitely not ideal. And if you look at the side, you can actually see how it protrudes out and kind of balloons. Not surprising, but just odd. It's not like the normal wear pattern that I typically see. Although if you have a different idea of why it might be wearing so oddly, let me know. Now for the actual like install process, it's pretty simple. I'll take off the brake caliper, disconnect the end link here. In addition to that, I will undo these bolts. And then from there, I'll come up top, undo the top hat bolts right here, and she'll just come on out. Probably the biggest piece of advice I could give you is to make sure to put a like towel or something over the CV boot, so this will protect it from ripping, especially in my case, since my CV boot is already old and brittle and cracked. So I'm just trying to limp it along more than anything. All right, and that's out. Over here on the back side of the brake caliper, so the top one, there's actually no bolt here, but down here on the lower portion, there is a little 12mm bolt. I ended up putting these boxes here just to kind of support the brake caliper because I don't want it hanging by the hose there because that's not good for it. On top of that, I just went ahead and disconnected the e-brake cable mainly because it's a lot easier to finagle without having this attached. This one, oh, there you go. So this one can be a bit of a pain, and if it is, all you have to do is just keep loosening it, and then it just comes out on its own. Because I'm by myself, I'm gonna loosen up these bolts, and then as I loosen up the bolts, I'm gonna have my other hand grabbing the strut so it doesn't just like fall down. Well guys, here's a little side-by-side comparison of the struts. So the old one's a lot bigger. It's actually in pretty good shape because I have replaced the shocks. These are the original 93 springs. And then outside of the cutting of the tab here, it's pretty much, it's actually really good shape. Over here, the new Fortune 500 auto coilover looks great obviously in comparison, but the cool thing is just the fact that it's so much smaller. Anyways, now that we got that out of the way, I think we can get back to installing them because I already set the preload. Each of them is just under 1/8 of an inch, which is on the high end of what they want. Once I get it in the car, I'll go ahead and adjust the height. This is actually like a pretty big monumental moment for me because with the BC coilovers, they did not fit the rear studs, that is. These fit like a glove. No drilling the holes for the top hat this time. This is the first big modification I've done to the car. Outside of rims, that's it. Actually, the seat technically is, although I took the seat out because like, if you've watched my previous videos, I did put an FX1 Pro in this car, but then what ended up happening was I liked the seat so much and I liked it better than the Corbo Forza that I had in my other car that I swapped the seats out because in the grand scheme of things, I preferred the FX1 Pro, the stock seat, and then the Corbo Forza. So for the next part, I'm gonna see if I can just muscle it up. If I can't, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go grab that jack. But essentially I gotta bring the knuckle up so I can put the bolts in. Pretty much what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to push this all the way in, and the reason why I'm gonna push the knuckle all the way in is that that's gonna get me the most camber possible. Considering the fact that I'll be doing track stuff and it's lowered a bit, I'll probably be able to get a degree or two of camber out of this, and that's gonna be a good thing for what I do. So if you have a friend, this is one of those times it'd be nice, but since I'm working by myself, I'm gonna push it in, and like I said, just cinch it down. So next step is just going to be adjusting the ride height, which is super simple. I'll take this wrench to move this. Depending on which way this moves, it goes up or down. Once I got the ride height right where I want it, and I'll measure it through here. Just, you know, take a measurement between these two rings. I'll then take this, cinch it down, and it's going to be locked down into place. Well guys, we got the first coilover in. Looks pretty good if I do say so myself. Probably the only annoying thing is I already scraped this up. It's just kind of a pain to get the locking ring in there or to get the wrench to lock this ring. So other than that though, everything's pretty good. Went right back in place, and I think it's going to do so much better on the track with this type of setup. Pretty much the only thing I have to put back on is the end link, but considering that the other side is still installed and has the stock strut, I got to go get that side done. And then this side's locked and loaded. I'm curious how much I'll have to play with the height settings because I don't like slammed cars just because I go for functionality over anything. Like a donk, or I think that's what they're called. I'm gonna raise this up quite a bit. That is so stupid low. I'm gonna quickly adjust the height off camera, then we'll try this again. Take two, so it's better. The fact that I can at least fit a jack under there is something I'm happy with, but I would like it just a little bit higher. It's not tugging so bad. Obviously the fact that it's not flush kind of annoys me, but the bigger thing is it is higher. So probably one of my big concerns is the simple fact that this toe arm is at such an angle. From a performance standpoint, it's not ideal. Obviously I can get a suspension correction kit from Alex Wilhelm, but I prefer just to have my car a little bit higher. We are onto the front. I actually feel like this side is easier because I don't have to fiddle with the e-brake cable, but pretty much take off the crash bolts, disconnect the brake caliper, and then disconnect the end link from the top and the top hat bolts, and she'll come on out. So super simple, have it out in probably a couple minutes. Oh, there you go. Ooh. And she's out. Here is a little side-by-side comparison. The stock strut is absolutely ginormous compared to this thing. Probably one of the biggest benefits of like running a coilover on MR2 is the fact that you'll be able to run a lot bigger tire in the front. I don't recall the exact size, but I know once you get too big, you have issues with the tire actually hitting the top of the spring perch right here. Also, the other thing I really like is that these come with camber plates. It would be nice if I had them in the back too, but for the price point, it's kind of hard to complain. First thing I'm gonna actually check is the preload. This is a 6-inch spring. It says it needs at least, oh, perfect. So the preload on this one's actually perfect right out of the box. So this is a 6-inch spring, and the more important thing is, according to the instructions on the website, the front springs need to have a minimum of a 1/4 inch of preload on them. These ones are perfect right out of the box. So I'm just gonna go ahead, make sure it's all nice and tight. From there, I'll adjust the camber on the camber plates as I mentioned earlier, and then I'll put the end link on. Let's get to the camber plate now. The camber plate's actually pretty nifty because, so we'll say this is like the outside of the car, this is the midline or towards the midline of the car. So the further that I adjust to the outside of the car, the more upright the coilover is gonna be, which will result in less camber. If I push it the opposite way, it's gonna be more at an angle, which is gonna give me the ability to have more camber. One of the things that's important to note about this is that you really adjust the camber here at these crash bolts. So just because you have it all the way set at the most negative setting doesn't mean you're gonna get all the camber. It comes down to how you adjust it. All I have to do is adjust the height. I don't wanna make the same mistake as I did with the other ones and just kind of go with where it was roughly out of the box. What I'm gonna do is just roughly make these about the same height, but in these side by side, when I consider the mounting points, they're roughly in the same area and they roughly end up to be about the same spot. I'm gonna lock it in place there. And once it's on the car and I get the final wheel tire set up, I can make the final like adjustments. She's good to go, so we're gonna put her on back in. Last thing is gonna be the end links. Even though the Fortune Auto came with these better end links, it just so happens that my other MR2 needs new end links. Considering that car has aftermarket sway bars, I'm gonna use this on that car, and then these ones from BC will go on this car. I'm gonna stay with the stock sway bars for the moment, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Boom. That went on super smooth. Probably my only like complaint would be the fitment of the brake line bracket. It doesn't really fit too well. I'm just probably gonna bend it some more and then hopefully I'll be able to secure it that way. But other than that, it's pretty good. I'm super happy. I'm just gonna quickly throw on the other side. I feel like you guys probably got the point by now. And then I'm gonna drop her, see where she stands. Probably gonna be pretty similar though. Oh God, I've ruined it. It's even higher. I've ruined it. Oh. I have the Carolina squat going on and God, does it look horrible. I would pull the car out if I could, but obviously with this and all this stuff going on. But oh my God, that's horrible. This is tucking. This is like, what the heck? Besides the whole height debacle thing, I am very excited to see how these coilovers perform because from everything I read online, they are absolutely fantastic and it should have a pretty comfortable ride even though the spring rates are pretty harsh, or not harsh, they're higher because in the front I'm running 7K, in the back I'm running 9K. Those spring rates are actually stiffer than what I'm running in my other MR2 because the V6 MR2 has 5K in the front, 8K in the back. Anyways, thanks for watching guys. I promise I will fix the whole height issue once I get the new wheel tire set up. And see you guys in the next one.